Have you ever thought about what it would be like to be the opposite gender? There would be different stereotypes set on you and different challenges you would have to face on a daily basis. Our society constantly expects people to fit in a certain box because of what gender they are. If you're a male, you're expected to get a job that makes a greater amount of money, an intellectually challenging job, or a more physically strenuous job. If you're a female, you're expected to get a job that's more about caring for someone else or helping someone with their feelings. There are women who want to be an engineer or a scientist, and men who want to work at a salon or be a caretaker. When people stray from what society considers normal, others did not want to accept it. They fight it at every step, and that is one way that discrimination comes into play. When people are in an atmosphere that other people believe they don't belong, merely because of their gender, people attack them, either in sly manners or in very obvious ones. I've seen this happen firsthand, toward myself and people that I've known. I was not even in an atmosphere that was dominated by one gender specifically. I worked in the food industry, and my boss would not let any women who worked there do anything that involved physical activity. It was a barbecue place, and wood had to be taken from a giant pile on the other side of the street and brought over to our place and fill up a wood bin by a wheelbarrow. My boss would not let me fill up the wood bin because I'm a female, which he specifically told me. He would also not let men take orders because women are prettier to look at and the customers would enjoy talking to them more. I've heard numerous stories just like this, except way more extreme, where people are treated differently because of their gender. Since gender equality has continued to be a fight in today's world, it's important to understand why gender inequality exists, what it has evolved into, and the problems that occur because of it, so that you'll be able to see that the world and workplace would be a better place without it. To begin, gender inequality has always existed in one way or another because of the roles set on men and women both to follow. Since as far back as we know, men have had a dominating personality and role in our society. In Christianity, for example, the Bible says men should work to provide for their family. They should be the rule makers of the house, and they should always be strong and courageous in their lives. When America first became a country, men made all the decisions in the government, and all the elected leaders or political officials who ran the country were men. According to the Cain brothers, throughout time, men have had greater access to a higher power in societal sources than women because of demographic factors and because of the reproducing characteristics of social evolution. Women have been historically known to have a subservient personality and play a secondary role in our society. Women in Christianity, again an example, are supposed to be subservient to men and do as they are told. They should provide children to their husbands and put their family duties above all else, and consistently be modest and pure. Women have had to fight for decades to even get the right to vote. They couldn't hold political offices and have only recently been able to be a part of important governmental decisions. These roles that each gender has had to play has led to social constructs that prevent or shun anyone from straying from what is known. Since people are starting to stray from these norms, it's caused a lot of discrimination because people are trying to change how things have always been, and society is not really accepting of change. The discrimination that is faced has evolved over years and now presents itself in multiple different ways, some of which are actually hard to catch. There's discrimination still shown in the wage gap today between men and women. According to the Center for American Progress, since 2019, women of all races earned on average 82 cents for every dollar earned by a man. Some people will say that a man will work harder than a woman, so they earn more because of their work ethic. However, scientifically, there's no evidence that says men are more capable than women intellectually, and most jobs are less about physical labor and more about intellectual behavior. There are expected roles within the occupations of our society, as I mentioned before, that led to discrimination within the workplace. The wage gap is not only specifically because women are paid less, although that is true. It is also because society expects specific genders to have certain types of jobs, and caretaking jobs just tend to pay less. Only 13% of engineers are women, and 26% of computer scientists are women. Of those fields, SWE researchers explain that women make 10% less than men. In the nursing field, Egan explains that only 12% of nurses are men and only 15% of therapists are men. Since there is not just one aspect of the workplace that has discrimination because of someone's gender, it can create problems in other aspects of life as well. The fact that gender inequality in society is because of the way society is constructed, it causes people to believe that they have to behave in a certain way. They lean towards certain actions that develop them into having characteristics that are not always really good. Women tend to get sexually assaulted more often than men do, although it is possible to happen to both genders. 1 in every 5 women will be raped at some point in their life, compared to 1 in 71 men, according to the National Sexual Violence Resource Center. Society has pushed this dominating characteristics onto men, and in return, they believe women should obey them in every and any way possible. Not all of them, but in multiple aspects, that's what they believe. Women have been pushed to be more kind and show people compassion, and so they're less likely to take advantage of someone in any type of way, especially sexually. Men are less likely to open up about their emotions, though, because how society looks down upon it, so they tend to not be able to get the help that they need. In a study by Mindset, it was found that 1 in 10 men experience depression or anxiety, but less than half of them actually told someone and looked for help. They are also 3.5 times more likely to die by suicide. Society has pushed this strong and less emotional characteristic onto men, and this has led them to believe that they're not able to be open about how they feel. This leads to harmful and permanent actions. Gender inequality has caused problems in society because of how it started and how it continues to be present in the world. It causes people to think certain things are okay to do and certain things are not okay when that's just not it. It's detrimental to how things work overall. It's caused people to do their best to abide by gender norms, and in return makes people's lives harder than they really have to be. Try to think about how these inequalities in society have caused different actions to occur, such as rape and suicide, before continuing to follow them in an endlessly changing world. If it hasn't already, it will more than likely affect either you or someone you know and love. It's not to be taken lightly.